All right, time for another Nerdy Virgin podcast. My name is Joshua Snyder. I am we'll go ahead and say comedian. I guess only you can be the judge of that after this podcast. I can call myself a comedian. I don't know. I always feel like I think it's the audience who decides whether or not the comedian's a comedian. I could, my attempt or my goal, the plan is that this is going to be funny. That's the plan. But the best laid plans of mice and men often get sidelined by a massive pandemic that really exposes how badly our infrastructure is, income inequality. Really shines a light on the pervasive quality of human decrepitude that has been rotting us from the inside out. I think I misquoted that. I did not lose my virginity until I was 32 years old, and I want to make sure that you know that going in, that this is not going to be a podcast about sports or anything sports related, although I will tell you something weird. Before I get to the something weird, I just want to kind of explain what this is. Like I said, I'm a comedian. I hesitate saying that because I have very low self-esteem. So that's why I don't like saying what I am when I don't have self-esteem. And I want to do an hour. I want a headline. And so this podcast is me talking for an hour. I figure before I can truly understand making a room full of people laugh, which in order to do that, I think means that I have to really be connected to the depths of joy within myself. I have to see if I can make myself laugh. And I'm not saying, by the way, that this is stand-up comedy, because stand-up comedy requires standing up. I'm reclining at this point, and it also requires an audience. But the whole point is, I guess I'm a worst-case scenario guy, and worst-case scenario, no one ever wants to see me live. Then, at the very least, I'm performing for myself right now, and the goal is to make myself laugh. And hopefully you'll enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, I don't know why you would continue listening to it unless you are torturing someone else, in which case, whoever you are who's being tortured, just tell them what they want to know. Just let it go. Tell them what they want to know. It's going to get a lot worse if you don't tell them. Just believe me. If the punishment is this podcast, I'm telling you, once we get to the bowel movement issues that I've been having, you're going to regret it if you don't say something now. By the way, I'm not a proponent of torture, but I don't believe in torture. I don't think torture is the way to. Torture is not how we as a society should function, unless you're being tortured by your mother psychologically. That, frankly, I don't think there's enough of that. So. But back to sports, which I don't normally talk about because I'm not a big sports guy. But here's the weird thing about sports. I grew up in Colorado. Dad is a Broncos fan. And so weirdly, it's not that I care, but I still keep track of how the Broncos are doing, or the Rockies, or the Avalanche. And there's just something about, there's something, I would almost, dare I say the word primal, about being tied to where I was born and raised. And no matter what happens, no matter how far I get, if I'm somehow cryonically suspended and 1,000 years from now, aliens with the voice of Ben Kingsley, or alien machines, or machines with the voice of Ben Kingsley, wake me up and they explain that the human race is gone, my first thought is, well, who won? Did the Broncos, did they win? Did they ever get back to that Super Bowl? For some reason, I'll be tied to that. That went into an AI reference, which is, I enjoyed that movie. I enjoyed AI. I enjoyed it. I think I liked it more the second and third time I saw it. And I think the key to enjoying AI, my friends, depression. If you are happy, don't watch AI. You don't need it. You don't need it. But if you're depressed, watch AI. Because you watch AI and you're like, yeah, that is the world. That is the world. We're looking for love. It's not there. Actually, that is a perfect metaphor for how my life feels. Looking for love, don't find it. In the end, a sympathetic robot is there to kind of pat me on the back. And that's what it feels like with me and Siri. 5 years from now, when Siri is farther along, Siri will be saying, hey, man, I'm sorry you're going through what you're going through. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help. Thanks, Siri. You're welcome. Is there somebody out there who's really named Siri? Is there a human being who is really named Siri who's like, thanks. Thank you, Apple. Thank you. Thank you for this. This is great. I always feel like people are talking to me. Maybe we should change the name of Siri to something that's obviously not the name of any other person. How about Death Cookie? Hey, Death Cookie. That's a bit morbid, isn't it? Death Cookie. I want to invent a new superhero, and for some reason, I came up with the name Death Cookie. I don't know if that's a superhero that would be taken seriously. At least the first part of it would be taken seriously. The second part, not so much. But, my dad did take me to see let me just tell you what happened in that pause there. I suddenly felt like I was judging myself, because I was judging myself, saying that nothing I've said right now has really been good enough. I've had that voice in my head. Can I release that voice? Can I let that voice go and be free? I'm recording this on Memorial Day. This is supposed to be a day of rest, a day where I remember those who have fallen. Is that the right holiday, or am I screwing up the holiday? I just remember seeing all these CNN articles saying, Memorial Day is not what you think it is, you idiot. That's not the title of the article, but that's how I interpreted it. Memorial Day, what you don't know, because you're dumb. One day there's going to be a CNN article. I can't believe I have to write these articles for people like you morons. Yeah, I saw that. Did you see the headline on CNN? It just said, God, you're stupid. Who's it talking to? I think to us. Okay, I've just finished an entire cup of tea. The caffeine is not affecting me well. I'm going to be peeing all over. I would say I'd be peeing like a racehorse, but I imagine that they have a strong urine stream. I do not have that. I'm peeing like a nervous old horse who has to go every 5 minutes. Not a racehorse. I would say this would be more of a... wasn't that in Seabiscuit they had another horse that they brought in to keep the Seabiscuit company? He's lonely. We need to bring in another horse to keep him company. The trainer figured that out. It's amazing that he figured that out, that a mammal that's alone might want to have company. Amazing. Powers of deduction are phenomenal. Because if it's one thing I see, it's in the wild, it's just one horse. Never a whole group of horses. It's not a group of horses. But it's not a herd either. What is it? I should look up what the word is. It's a fleet. It's not a fleet. A bunch of horses. a bunch of wild horses. You never just see one horse alone. If you see one horse alone, that usually means that the Lone Ranger's been injured and now the horse is trying to get help. The Lone Ranger. I don't think I ever really watched. I didn't see the movie that came out with, I think it was Armie Hammer and Johnny Depp, right? Well, Johnny Depp I know was in it, but I don't think I ever really saw like the old movies or the TV show or the radio show. Well, I wouldn't see the radio show. I would only hear the radio show, you know. And now the adventures of the Lone Ranger, written by white people. Probably not a show that talks about how he destroyed an entire culture. That probably won't be in this episode. The Lone Ranger. Again, wearing the domino mask that hides his identity. Which seems to have worked in the Wild West where, there's 100 people in the town? And somehow this works? The Lone Ranger. Can't call it the Lonely Ranger. That'd be too depressing. That's a whole different show. Does he fight crime? No. He just don't get him. Don't be in the room alone with him. He'll start talking to you because he has no one to talk to. That's the the Lonely Ranger. No, he'll go on and on and on about Doctor Who. Don't be in the room alone with the Lonely Ranger. Don't call for the Lonely Ranger's help. He's not going to help you. The Lone Ranger. Maybe there should be a radio show. Maybe that's what I should do. And now another adventure of the Lone Ranger. I am the Lone Ranger. Jim? How could you tell? Because that mask doesn't really cover your face, Jim. I don't think you have jurisdiction here. It's the Wild West. There is no jurisdiction. I am law and order in the Wild West. Yeah, technically, I don't think the laws have the laws even been written yet. I mean, actually, what we're doing might be legal. Wait a minute. Who do you represent, Lone Ranger? I represent the United States government. You mean the government that's stealing land from everybody? Well, we have a lawful right to do that. Wait a minute. You're saying that we can't rob this bank, but the government can take this land away from the people who've been on this land for thousands of years? That's right. That doesn't make... We're going to give the money back to the people who used to be on this land so that they can... No, that's illegal. But wait a minute, aren't you representing illegal interests? No. We're America's the land of the free. Yeah, if you're a straight white man, sure, it's the land of the free. But everyone else, it's not so free. Hey, you're changing the you're missing the point here. You're not allowed to rob that bank. How did that money get into the bank? What do you mean? How did the money get into the bank? Well, I mean the people investing in the bank, aren't these the same people who are destroying the land, like the mining companies and the railroad companies are absolutely destroying the land? And I mean, we should be arresting you, frankly. You can't do that. I'm the Lone Ranger. Do you have jurisdiction? Yeah, I mean, can you even be doing this legally? Like you have to be. I mean, if you are law enforcement, I should be able to see a badge, right? I mean, you should be. Have you been deputized by anyone? You can't just. I mean, if you're a vigilante, I think technically what you're doing is just as illegal as what we're doing. All right, look, you can't rob that bank. The rich white people, okay, who put their money in that bank. If you steal from them, that they're going to have no choice but to have to take more of their massive amounts of wealth and put it back in the bank. And that's very inconvenient for those rich white people. You sure don't want to rob maybe you should rob the bank with us. I mean, you seem like you have a strong sense of justice. I think we're on the right side here. No, you're not. Oh, all right. Now, this is about you just trying to be right now, isn't it? There you go, people, the Lone Ranger. There you go. There it is. This is the part of the show where I apologize. Hopefully I didn't offend anyone by that. I'm sorry if I offended any rich white people. As a rich white person, let me just assure you that 100% of my finances... No, I'm kidding. I think I'm kidding. Sad thing is, I'm probably not kidding. This is an issue. And you know what? I've thought of this too. I'm not immune. I'm not exempt. I buy groceries. I pump gas. I buy products from companies that have been known to not be doing good things. So I'm lecturing, but I'm no better. A friend of mine, he works for an organization that provides food for the homeless, and he invited me. He was trying to get a bunch of people to get together and go hand out food, and I'm teaching on that day. And which is highly convenient, and I don't want to do it, and I feel guilty for not wanting to do it. I complain about, I'm not living the life I want to live. I don't think the universe is very fair. Here I am with my running water and my eating food every day, but I don't have enough of a social media following. And this is why I have to practice gratitude. Yes, this is why I probably should be practicing gratitude and why I should be doing more to help other people instead of being so self-obsessed. Holidays are really hard for me. That's why I'm glad I'm doing this right now, actually, because... holidays are really hard for me. I tend to get really depressed because I don't spend them with anybody, and I have too much time to think. And I get in this weird place where I get really tired, and I want to take a break. I want to not work. I want to just rest and relax, but I can't. If I try to just rest and relax, I end up worrying. So I end up just watching a lot of TV or watching a lot of Netflix. And then afterwards, I feel like I've wasted an entire day. I was like, I could have written a novel today. I'm pathetic. And it's not good. But I find that energy begets energy, so that the more active I am, the more energy I have. And if I'm not active, then I suddenly, the less active I am, the more tired I feel. And weirdly, I think that's why I have anxiety. I think my anxiety is my fuel. Somebody else was telling me this. Your anxiety is your fuel. I am powered by anxiety. I mean, you think you have your fuel cells, you think that's cute? Well, my vehicle is powered by anxiety. I turn the key, and the car goes, when was the last time you got your testicles checked? Now that's an episode of Night Rider I can get behind. Am I yelling too much into the mic? Probably. Probably yes. Okay, how are we doing? We're 20 minutes in to a 50-minute podcast that I call an hour podcast. Podcasting by the seat of his pants. I'm liking that voice today. I'm having fun with that voice today. The Shadow. Hey, The Shadow. I love that movie. That movie, the Alec Baldwin Shadow movie, I've seen multiple times. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. They were trying, I think, to do another, they were trying to compete with Batman that had just come out before that. And the irony is that I think Batman was influenced by The Shadow. It's also the same kind of irony like that, John Carter movie comes out and tanks, but all these other movies that came out were inspired by John Carter. Maybe we need to see a John Carter Shadow crossover. I know what evil lurks in the hearts of man. I'm on Mars right now. We're on Mars, all right? We got bigger problems. The armies on Mars are in revolt. Yeah, but I know that one of the members of the armies stole a piece of gold from another member of the army, and he has to be punished. Listen. I get that you fight crime, but there's a war here on Mars. I mean, you know what evil lurks in the hearts of men. Do you know what urgency lurks in my heart? We're on Mars. We have to fight on Mars. They don't call it Mars. They call it Barzoom or Barsoom. Is it Barzoom? Is it Barsoom? I don't want to sound like an idiot when I'm talking to them. You read their minds. Is it Barsoom or Barzoom? All I can tell you right now is that soldier over there, that giant alien soldier with 5 hands, he parked illegally. Okay. Why are you obsessing over minor crimes of the soldiers who are fighting in this war on Barsoom? Excuse me, I couldn't help but overhearing. It's Barzoom, not Barsoom, okay? So I'm sorry, I apologize. I just want to apologize. The Shadow on Mars. How could that not be? See, I don't know why I'm not the head of Disney. I don't understand it. I don't understand why. Because surely, of the 12 people who listen to this podcast, one of whom might be in Spain. Hello, Spain. Hope you're well. I just think that I'm assuming one of them is the head of Disney. And I don't know why they're not writing everything down that I'm saying. I do not get it. Does the Shadow only know the evil that lurks in the hearts of men? Can the Shadow also know everything else that lurks? Like, can the Shadow just read a person's mind? I know what evil lurks in his heart. Yeah, but do you also know? Can you also know where he parked his car? No, I do not know that. The parking of his car was not something that was specifically evil. If it's not evil, I can't read if it's not evil. Hey, Shadow, I can't remember the name of the song I heard a couple of weeks ago. I think that it kind of sounds like this. Da 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 da. Can you go into my mind and no? Unless it was an evil song. If it was an evil song, I could go into your mind and tell you. I don't think it was an evil song. I can't remember. Well, I'm not detecting that. All I'm detecting from your heart is that you saw a piece of trash on the ground and you didn't pick it up, which is, that's your evil. I feel like you're getting really nitpicky with the evil here, Shadow. Yes, the Shadow. That's fun. Should we go to news? Should we look at some news? Should we look at some news on darkhorizons.com? Or should I do a fake commercial? I'll do a fake commercial, and then we'll look at the news. How about that? Fake commercial, fake sponsor. Today's sponsor Today's podcast is sponsored by The Shadow. Do you know what evil lurks in the heart of men? No, you don't, because you're not the Shadow, and you're not telepathic. I do. Do you think someone might be doing evil to you? Well, if you think that, give me a call at 1-800-I-KNOW-WHAT-EVIL-LURKS in the hearts of men. Now, I know what you're going to say. That phone number, there's too many digits in that phone number. And don't worry, it'll still work. 1-800-DO-YOU-KNOW-WHAT-EVIL lurks in the hearts of men? And you need spaces in that. So it's 1-800-DO space, you space, know space, what space, evil space, works space, in space, the space, hearts space, of space, men space. By the way, it's not the word space. It's not S-P-A-C-E. It's not that. It's not that. Just a space. Press the space bar. And I know you're going to say, well, there's no space bar on a phone. Well, it works, okay? I tested it. It'll work. The phone will know what you want. Just, ask Death Cookie. Just say, hey, Death Cookie, I need to call 1-800 who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men. And don't forget the space, Death Cookie. And Death Cookie will say, yeah, sure, no problem. Because Death Cookie AI has become more casual. But yeah, I'll help you figure out what evil lurks in the hearts of the people who might be trying to screw you over. 1-800-DO-YOU-KNOW-WHAT-EVIL lurks in the hearts of men? Okay, great. Back to the podcast, everyone. Back to the podcast. I'm really excited about that sponsor. I hope that business takes off. Okay. Teaser trailer, The Patrick Star Show. So I guess this is a spinoff of SpongeBob that follows Patrick Star. And I think the guy who does the voice of Patrick Star was the guy who was on Coach. Coach was that was a great show. My parents and I used to watch that all the time. Craig T. Nelson, Jerry Van Dyke, and then Bill, I'm going to destroy his name. Bill, is it Fagerbacke? Bill Fadger. I don't know how to say that name. Bill Fagerbacke. I always thought when I was growing up and I saw that, I always thought it was Bill Fabergé. That's how I thought you said his name. Bill Fabergé. And that is so wrong on all levels. Bill How do you say that name? I've never seen that name before in my life. Is that even spelled right here? Oh God, how many cultures am I insulting by A, mispronouncing the name, B, saying I've never seen the name before in my life? So, typically ignorant. I'm such an ignorant American. I don't even know how to say this name. And oh God, this is descending into chaos. A SpongeBob spinoff. Spinoffs are so strange to me. The concept of a spinoff is so strange. I don't know why, but to this day, I find it so bizarre. And yet, I'm a huge Star Trek Deep Space Nine fan. That is a spinoff. I mean, technically a spinoff of a spinoff. But I think there's a part of me, for some reason, whenever I hear that there's a spinoff of anything, my initial reaction is, what do I care? I don't need to spin off. You've got me on the story. I want to go back to the Enterprise. What do I care about this station in the middle of nowhere? And then they made me care. They made me care with good storytelling and compelling characters. Spinoffs. The Patrick Star Show, which looks funny. I watched the trailer of it, and it's what's great is that they write the show. They don't play down to the audience, so the jokes are great on it. They're dare I say, well, certainly better than this podcast. Hey, who know what self-deprecation lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows. Don't be a lonely ranger. Have confidence in yourself, Josh. Have confidence. Be the change you want to be. Yeah, Patrick Star Show. Well, we wish them well. We here at the Nerdy Virgin Podcast wish that the Patrick Star Show will be hugely successful, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see. Sam Richardson has been cast in an undisclosed role in the critically acclaimed animated series Harley Quinn. Can you wait until we know what the role is to tell me? I mean, I guess that's news. The actor's doing something there. It would have been nice if we know what he's doing. But now that gives them a reason to write another article. We finally figured out Sam Richardson is playing the role of, well, it's a DC character of some kind, unless it's a new character. Maybe it's, who knows who it would be. I don't know. I don't think I even know who Sam Richardson is. Because I have been out of the loop. Well, it says that he was in Werewolves Within and MODOK. So, and has joined the animated series Harley Quinn. MODOK, I vaguely know that's the Marvel bad guy, but they're doing it's a comedy. It's like a comedy version of that, and they're doing that on Hulu. And then Werewolves Within, I think I was even reading about that. Werewolves Within. Well, I like the alliteration there. Werewolves Within. Presumably about werewolves. Which is fun. You always need a little bit of a werewolf. Wasn't there that Teen Wolf? Is that still on? Werewolves are fun. Full moon comes out. Can't control the change. Can't control the change. And it always feels so freeing when they're the werewolf. It feels so freeing. I was unencumbered. All right, I took a brief interlude, and that's me burping in to the mic. That's good. That's a way to keep the audience. Way to keep the audience burping in to the mic. No, I thought I heard someone come in, and I'm in the office. I'm in my small office, which is inside a larger office. No, I can only record this podcast if no one is even in the office, even the larger office. Even if my door is closed, I can't. It's a very private thing doing this podcast. It's a very private, intimate, personal thing. If I know that someone is listening or watching, I get very thrown by that, which is ironic because all I want to do is share this. And yet I only want to share it after I'm done recording it. This is how dysfunctional I am with my relationships. I don't want to be in the same room with you. I want to be in the room just with myself, talk, and then release it. And then I want you to download it on your device and listen to it as far away from me as possible. Because I don't want to be there to witness you rejecting me on any level. And eventually, I want you to pay me to get up on stage and talk to you, and you can only respond to me by laughing. And if you do anything else, I'm throwing you out. I am paying you to only laugh with me at the points that I describe. At the points that I want you to laugh at. I'm expecting you to drive all the way out somewhere, watch me, laugh at exactly where I want you to laugh, and then go away. I have severe emotional problems. All right, back to the news. back to the news. Okay, so this will be kind of hacky, but I have to. Okay, so there's a show. Netflix has announced the third season premiere of romantic drama Virgin River. Highlights of the new 10-episode run include a funeral, a fire, a hurricane, a new love, and a divorce. I hope that all of those are happening at the same time. Funeral, fire, hurricane, new love, divorce. Honey, I can't live with you anymore. We're in the middle of a hurricane. Let's try to get through the hurricane first. All right? We're in the body is flying away. Can somebody grab the body? We're in the middle of a hurricane. Honey, I've fallen in love with someone else. We're in the middle of the hurricane right now. There's a fire right now. Get the kids away from the fire. Somebody grab the body. Oh, the body's gone. We lost the body. So much for the funeral. So much for the funeral. So much for the funeral. Great. Perfect. So much for the funeral. Hi, my name's Cindy. What's yours? I'm very attracted to you. Under normal circumstances, I definitely want to talk to you, but we're in the middle of a hurricane right now. Can we table this? Can we table this and until we get everyone safe? We were in the middle of a funeral. There's a hurricane and a fire happening. I don't know where the body is. Right, the body is not only on fire, it is also being tossed around in the middle of this hurricane. Can we at least wait until the eye of the hurricane to flirt, please? All right, I felt good about that. I know that's hacky. But I felt good about that. I felt good about that. That one, I enjoyed myself. I'm feeling too silly today. I'm not feeling insightful enough. It doesn't count unless the comedy is insightful. Unless somebody listens to this podcast and says, not only did I laugh, I am now a better person, thanks to Joshua Snyder. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to volunteer and help the homeless. And then I'm going to recycle. And then I'm going to love my wife, but in a purely 100% giving way without expecting anything in return. Because I listened to Joshua Snyder's podcast. By the way, the show's called Virgin River. That's ironic, right? They're doing that for irony. My guess is no one's a virgin. My guess is they're all making love to each other in the middle of the fire and the hurricane. Guys, listen, I know there's something exciting about doing this, but you're going to get blown away here. Can you just take 2 minutes away from what you're doing and come over and help me board up these windows? Oh, my goodness. All right, well, let's keep going. What about Sony chief talks Spider-Man future plans? What does he have to say? There actually is a plan. Hey! I think now maybe it's getting a little more clear for people where we're headed, and I think when No Way Home comes out, even more will be revealed. The great thing is we have this very excellent relationship with Kevin Feige. Am I saying his name right? There's an incredible sandbox there to play with. We want those MCU movies to be absolutely huge because that's great for us and our Marvel characters, and I think that's the same thing on their side. But we have a great relationship. There's lots of opportunities, I think, that are going to happen. We have a plan, and we're excited about the plan. Good. Specific. I like that. I like that specificity. Playing his cards close to the chest over there at Sony. Playing their cards close to the chest. Very good. But I think they're opening this the multiverse. The multiverse, I already love what's happening with the multiverse. The multiverse, aka we can do whatever we want whenever we want to do it. Plot hole? No. It's not a plot hole. It's a multiverse. The hole leads to another universe where it makes sense. The multiverse, because we meant to do that. That's what DC's doing. And so we can have 3 Batmans in the same movie. But why does this Batman live in a dark gothic world where his batsuit almost looks organic, and this other Batman lives in a highly technical world where somehow, even though he's wearing what appears to be basically just latex, somebody can shoot him in the head and he's fine. And he has seemingly superhuman strength. And then this other Batman over here, multiverse. The multiverse. The multiverse. A new way for crossovers. Multiverse. Where storytelling meets 21st century capitalism. The multiverse. You know, I work at this comedy club, and I remember when we shut down because of the pandemic, we had all the posters up from all the shows that we were expecting to do later in 2020. So we're walking around the club, it's closed, and you're seeing this. It actually felt like an alternate reality, where I can't help but wonder if on some alternate reality there was no pandemic, and that was what happened in 2020. It was very bizarre. Very creepy thing about this just how fast everything stopped, and how everything changed so quickly and dramatically. I don't think I've ever experienced something that dramatic. I mean, I guess even, as tragic as 9/11 was, and it did, psychologically, 9/11 was very jarring, and jarring to say the least. Traumatic would be the right word. But it certainly did not have the same day-to-day impact as this. I just, I was walking around saying, God, I'm afraid this is going to happen again. And my boss says, no, this won't happen again in our lifetime. Now, the question is our lifetime a year? That's where my mind goes. Oh, so you're saying we're going to be dead in 6 months. Okay, well, that's fair. But that is is this going to be a once in 100-year thing, or is this going to be a once every 5 or 10-year thing? Because scientists are saying, there's thousands of these viruses that are out there. And we live in a very mobile society where things can spread instantly. So, are we going to be doing this again? And that's why I'm going to prepare for it by doing this podcast. Actually, I was doing 20-minute podcasts. Now I'm doing 50-minute podcasts. And as a result, my podcast storage, I ran out of storage. I had to pay a little extra for more storage. One day, the internet is going to run out of storage, and they're going to come to me and go, listen, it's either we delete your podcast or the hospital records. So I'm afraid your podcast is going to have to go. But one day, people might want to go back through my podcasts. For entertainment's sake. They'll want to go to that podcast I did in 2018, where I riffed for 5 minutes about Captain America Civil War. They're going to want that. We're already 44 minutes into this thing. We're 44 minutes into this beast. My goodness, people. My goodness. All right. I was full, now I'm hungry again. I'll share that with you. All right, we got to bring this home. We got to bring this home. We got 5 minutes left. Well, 6 minutes left. 5 minutes. Got 5 minutes left. Okay, so let's see here. Let's see here. How do we? Let's see. Quick news. Let's go back to the news. They finished. Thor: Love and Thunder has finished filming. That should be good. Cruella star Emma Stone says she would love to see Ursula, the main villain of The Little Mermaid, to be the next Disney character to get her own feature film. Sure. I don't see why not. Speaking of spin-offs. That might work. Sure. What if they did a Flounder movie? What if we find out that Flounder used to be a mercenary he was a mercenary in the war, a trained assassin, and he was responsible for the deaths of millions of crustaceans. He has a dark past. That's why he doesn't talk. And it should be a gritty thriller, kind of in the vein of like those 70s, like the Manchurian Candidate kind of a thing, where he has to assassinate a clownfish, a notable clownfish. Well, what am I saying? He's got to assassinate Nemo. Then that, by the way, once that happens, he knows that it's going to open the floodgate. And he's trained. Flounder has been trained. He's a trained killer. And there's a scene in a bar, and he's got to decide whether or not he's going to, kill Nemo. And the bartender, who is a bottlenose dolphin. Get it? Bottlenose dolphin? Dolphin walks up to him and says, "What's the trouble, friend?" And Flounder says, "I'm just floundering." And scene! And scene, people. And scene. I've never seen The Little Mermaid. How did we miss that? I think the first movie my dad ever took me to see was the Cinderella, the classic Disney Cinderella. But the first modern Disney movie that I saw in a theater, my grandparents took me to see, was Beauty and the Beast. So we somehow missed The Little Mermaid. So I've never seen it. But I feel like I know of it, or I've seen enough of it to kind of get the general idea. She wants to go on land, and then she gets her wish, and that doesn't work out. And then the guy she falls in love with, I think, steers the ship into Ursula's belly, I believe. I think that's what happens. Kind of one of those beware what you wish for, but I think she ends up with him in the end. But I can't remember if she ends up... Does she stay on the land? I need to watch the movie. How can I comment on the movie if I haven't seen the movie? How can I comment on it? How can I possibly comment on it? But yes, Cruella is the prequel. They're taking the villains and they're doing the origin story for the villains. And Disney seems to be enjoying this process. And by enjoying this process, I mean making a ton of money. But yeah, I mean, if we're gonna if we're going to I think there's other characters. I think in some ways, while it would be cool to see an origin story with Ursula, I mean, isn't that the obvious choice? Like, I think my flounder choice, I think there's something there. I think there's, I'd like to see, what about Cogsworth? We'll call it a clockwork clock. Turns out that Cogsworth was a very disruptive and sadistic teenager, and they brainwashed him. They ripped out his gears and put in new ones. Get a bit Kubrick there? A clockwork clock. Cogsworth from Beauty and the Beast. That's a fun one. I like that. I can get on board with that. Yeah, I mean, I think let's not dismiss some of these other characters that are floating around here that might be fun. Let's not dismiss. What are some of these other characters? Frankly, I'd want to see a whole movie about Grumpy, one of the seven dwarves. Was Grumpy the leader or was Doc the leader? Grumpy and Doc. It's a buddy cop movie. They're both tired cops. Grumpy and Doc. They both have 2 days left on the force. That'd be fun. Let's see that. What are some of the other ones? Actually, I'll tell you the one I want to see. I think I've talked about this before. I'll talk about it again. We need to know, where did this magic carpet from Aladdin come from? This sentient carpet. It is clearly a living being that is being forced to be used as a method of transportation. I want to know more about this magic carpet. And I think there needs to be a scene in Aladdin while they're singing the song A Whole New World where the carpet says, "Can you please stop making out on top of me? This is very awkward. I don't think I should be allowed to be, I don't think I should be in this situation. I feel very awkward right now." Are there other magic carpets? We need to see those other magic carpets. Does the magic carpet there has to be a mentor figure, right? There has to be I'm not sure what it is, but I feel like the sidekick would be a welcome mat. A welcome mat who's a bit down. He's like, "I'm just a doormat. That's all I am." And yeah, I'm not trying to be funny here when I say I'm just a doormat, okay? You all think I'm making a joke. I'm making a riff on the fact that I am literally a doormat. But I am. People walk all over me. I hate being a beta, man. I hate being a beta doormat. I could see an entire show starring carpet. Then you've got the shag carpeting. The shag carpeting would be like the 1960s or the 1970s, like the 1970 detective kind of thing. That would be the shag carpet. 1970s detective who's maybe on the trail of the magic carpet. What about the gym carpet? I feel that has to be the bad guy. That gym carpet that's really, really, that's like so hard. It's basically, I think in my elementary school gym, it was like this really hard carpet that we could actually play basketball on. That's got to be the villain carpet. This is the movie I want to see. And then, of course, there has to be a scene where, there's a, there has to be a line, does the carpet match the drapes? And it really has more to do with the fact that the drapes is the sister to the carpet, and they're both on the run from the gym carpet, and the magic carpet has to help them escape. And this is where the magic carpet learns how to fly. Would the hardwood floor be a character? I think the hardwood floor would be the handler, right? I think the hardwood floor would be the one, the one with wisdom. Sometimes life hangs by a thread. The magic carpet. Oh, God. I was listening to a podcast where they're talking about how the fiction writers would describe the characters are just talking to me. That's what's happening to me right now with carpet. I can hear the carpet talking to me, people. I can hear the carpet talking to me.